All right, today's Daily Stoic. Daily Stoic, May 28th. The first two things before acting. What do you think that is, babe? What do you think that is? What is the first two things before acting? For Marcus Aurelius, he said the first thing to do, don't get worked up. For everything happens according to the nature of all things. And in a short time, you'll be nobody and nowhere. Even as the great emperors, Hadrian and Augustus are now. The next thing to do, consider carefully the task at hand for what it is, while remembering that your purpose is to be a good human being. Get straight to doing what nature requires of you and speak as you see most just and fitting, with kindness, modesty, and sincerity. Imagine for a second that Marcus' life as an emperor must have been like. He would preside over the Senate. He would lead the troops in battle, direct the grand strategy of the army as its highest commander. He would also hear appeals from citizens, from lawyers, from foreign governments. In other words, like most people in power, he was called on to make decisions all day, every day, decisions after decision. His formula for decision making is a battle tested method for doing and acting right, literally, which is why we ought to try to use it ourselves. First, don't get upset because that will color your decision negatively in it and make it harder than it needs to be. Second, remember the purpose and principle you value most. Running potential action through this filter will eliminate the bad choices and highlight the right ones. Don't get upset, do the right thing, that's it. Don't get upset, do the right thing, that's it. As human beings, we take things personal a lot. We are very entitled in a way, in our own ways. And so when something doesn't feel right to us, we get upset about it really easily instead of taking a pause and trying to, just like this book is saying, consider carefully the task at hand. I always do that, I feel. Especially when I wasn't very conscious of myself. I'm not sure like what bothers me. I don't take time to ask myself question, okay, why does that thing bothers me? Why does that thing upset me? Instead, I would just react because it just upset me. Point blank. My entitlement, becomes very present and being like, how dare you, or how dare that thing. But now that I'm more self-aware, I try to not take a lot of things personally. I've always tell myself anything that's outside of me is out of my control. And if I try to control things that is not in my control, it always gives me negative feelings. And so why would I choose that? Why would I choose suffering over having peace of mind? Which a lot of us keep choosing to suffer. Because we're choosing not to unlearn a lot of the ways that was instilled in us. And so that makes us entitled. A lot of people will say, oh, it's just the way I am. It's just the way I'm wired. Instead of actually sitting with ourselves and asking, like, who am I really? Am I thinking for my own self? I find myself connecting dots lately, trying to figure out who I really am and why I think the way I think, why I do things the way I do it. And it brings me all the way back to childhood and thinking, who are my ancestors? What kind of life they lived? Why were we born into this family? And the way they think, the way they were, the way they are, and just connecting the dots. The people who raised me was never business minded, was never self aware. They were all in survival mode. And it makes sense that I was in survival mode. And I'm so grateful that I'm learning more and more now to get out of that. I think that's it. I think that's it for today.
And tune in tomorrow.
It's a never-ending work that we have to do. And I just had wrote about that in my journal actually today. That healing is never-ending work that one must do. We all are healing from something. We're all, whether we like to say it or not, whether we like to think it or not, we are all born in someone else's story. And healing from that, unlearning anything from that, and becoming your own person takes a lot of healing and unlearning and learning and practicing what you learned and creating new story about yourself. So, yeah, don't get upset. Do the right thing. That's it.
Tune in tomorrow.